You wake up tired, you go to bed tired. Somewhere between scrolling and clicking, you lost the part of yourself that used to build things, the part that used to dream, the part that made you dangerous to your own mediocrity. There's a reason for that, and it's not what you think. Your brain is being consumed. It's not by disease, not by age, by something far more insidious, something that hides in plain sight, disguised as entertainment, reward, relief. It operates like a cancer, silent, systematic, spreading through the neural pathways that once made you sharp, focused, hungry for something real. This is where Symbolism Decoded begins, not by telling you what to do, but by showing you what's been done to you. Let's start with a term you've never heard, but have been living inside of for years: supernormal stimuli. It sounds clinical because it is. Nature, animals respond to certain cues. A bird feeds the largest, brightest egg in its nest. A male beetle attempts to mate with a beer bottle because its glossy brown surface triggers something primal in its brain. The stimulus is fake, but the response is real. It's stronger than the real thing. Now apply that to you. You were designed to seek novelty, pleasure, reproduction. Those drives kept your ancestors alive. But now, those same drives have been weaponized. You're the beetle. The glossy bottle is everywhere. Infinite. Algorithmically optimized. Updated every second to become more potent than the last. The industry of pixels discovered something your biology never prepared you for. That the human brain doesn't distinguish well between real and hyperreal. That given a choice between the difficult and the frictionless, between the earned and the instant, your dopamine system will choose the path of least resistance every single time. Not because you're weak, but because it's supposed to. Except now, that system is broken. Here's what happens inside your skull. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, long-term planning, begins to atrophy. Not metaphorically. Literally. Studies using functional MRI scans show measurable reductions in gray matter density among men who engage in compulsive consumption of high-intensity visual stimulation. The same structural changes seen in substance addiction. The same neurological profile as someone dependent on chemical substances. But it's worse than that. Because while a substance eventually leaves your system, this doesn't. The pathways remain. The tolerance builds. You need more. Stranger. Faster. More extreme. And the gap between what excites your brain and what reality can offer becomes a chasm you can no longer cross. This is the cancer. Not the content itself, but the reconfiguration. The slow replacement of your agency with compulsion, of your ambition with apathy, of the man you could become with the shadow of who you are. And here's the cruelest part. You know this. On some level, you've always known. That's why you feel the shame. That's why you close the tabs in a hurry. That's why you promise yourself it's the last time. But knowing isn't enough. Because you're not fighting content. You're fighting your own rewritten neurology. Let's talk about what this does to masculinity. Not the cartoon version. Not the archetype. The real thing. Masculinity, at its core, is the ability to delay gratification in service of a greater aim. To endure discomfort for a future reward. To build, protect, provide, create. It is fundamentally future-oriented. It requires a functioning prefrontal cortex. It requires the ability to say no to the immediate in favor of the important. Supernormal stimuli obliterates that capacity. It trains your brain to expect reward without effort, pleasure without pursuit, climax without connection. And when your brain learns that pattern, it stops valuing the things that require struggle. The business you wanted to start feels impossible. The relationship you wanted to build feels exhausting. The body you wanted to forge feels out of reach. Not because they are, because your brain has been conditioned to measure worth in dopamine per minute. And none of those things can compete with a screen. This is why so many men today feel like ghosts in their own lives. Watching themselves waste time, watching opportunities pass, watching their potential evaporate in real time, and feeling utterly powerless to stop it. The symbolism here is ancient. In every mythology, in every spiritual tradition, there's a version of the same warning. The hero must resist the siren, the temptress, the illusion. Not because pleasure is evil, but because the wrong pleasure, pursued incorrectly, destroys the hero's journey before it begins. The modern version isn't a goddess or a demon. It's an algorithm, and it knows you better than you know yourself. So what do? How do you reverse this? How do you reclaim the parts of your brain that have been colonized? First, you have to understand that this isn't about willpower. Willpower is a prefrontal cortex function. If your prefrontal cortex is compromised, willpower is exactly what you don't have. This is about environment, about removing the option entirely. You can't moderate a supernormal stimulus any more than the beetle can moderate the beer bottle. The stimulus is designed to be irresistible, so you remove it, delete the apps, block the sites. Not tomorrow. Now, use tools that make access genuinely difficult, because in the moment of temptation, you won't have the strength. But if the barrier is high enough, the moment passes. And in that passing, your brain begins to heal. Second, you have to replace the void. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you remove the stimulation without adding something real, you'll fail. This is where the work begins. Physical exertion, creative projects, face-to-face connection. Anything that requires sustained attention and effort. Anything that builds instead of consumes. Your brain will resist. It will tell you it's boring, that it's not enough. That's withdrawal. That's the cancer trying to survive. Ignore it. Third, you need time. Neuroplasticity is real, but it's slow. Studies suggest it takes between 90 days and 6 months for dopamine receptors to begin regenerating. For the prefrontal cortex to regain function, the brain to recalibrate what normal feels like. Those months will be uncomfortable. You'll feel flat, anxious, irritable. You'll romanticize the very thing that destroyed you. This is the test. It's not of your morality, but of your capacity to endure temporary pain for permanent gain. The very capacity the supernormal stimulus destroyed. And finally, you have to redefine what you're fighting for. This isn't about becoming some idealized version of masculinity. It's about becoming functional. It's about reclaiming the ability to want something difficult and then do it. To feel attraction to a real person and have the courage to pursue it. To see a problem and have the mental clarity to solve it. These are baseline human capacities, and you've lost them. It's what this is really about. Not morality, not religion, not ideology. Function. The ability to operate as the organism you were designed to be. Everything else, all the success, the relationships, the self-respect, flows from that foundation. But without it, you're building on sand. The cancer grows in silence, in the private hours, in the tabs you don't talk about, the minutes that become hours, that become years. It doesn't announce itself. It just takes. By the time you notice, you've forgotten what you were before. But here's the thing about neuroplasticity. The same mechanism that allowed your brain to be hijacked is the same mechanism that allows it to be reclaimed. You are not permanently broken. You are temporarily rewired, and rewiring works both ways. The question is whether you'll do it. Whether you'll endure the discomfort of healing or continue the comfort of decay. Because those are the only two options. There is no third path, no moderation, no balance. Not with this. The stimulus is too strong, the design too precise. You either remove it completely, or it removes you. Slowly, silently, completely. Symbolism Decoded exists to show you what's hidden, the patterns beneath the surface, the systems inside the chaos. And this is one of the most important patterns you'll ever see. Because it's not happening to you. It's happening as you. In the structure of your brain. In the quality of your choices. In the trajectory of your life. You already know if this applies to you. You felt it in the first 30 seconds of this video. The recognition, the discomfort, the truth you've been avoiding. So here's the final thought. The one that stays with you after you close this screen. Every day you wait is a day of neural atrophy. A day where the brain you need to build the life you want becomes a little less capable of building it. The cancer doesn't pause. It doesn't negotiate. It just grows. And the only thing standing between you and complete consumption is a decision you make right now, not later. Now, subscribe if you're ready to see what else has been decoded from you without your knowledge, because this is just the beginning.